Hey, welcome to another installment of Kenny Cash Money's figuring out how the heck to do programming stuff. So what the heck? Um, I'm working on a silly project right now. Really, it's just sort of a way to explore a lot of the basic functionality of Node. I've been learning a lot um, using this Udemy course. It's Zero to Mastery, like complete Node.js something or other. Uh, let me Let me pull it up here. This thing. Complete Node.js developer in 2023 with GraphQL, MongoDB, and more. I was having a lot of trouble using this package called lowdb. Um, Having a lot of issues with ES module errors. And I had no idea what the heck that was. I didn't understand what an ES module is. And so I signed up for this course and I learned what that is now. Um, and there's a lot more in it, so I'm excited to keep going through this course. It's taught me about like what is package.json, what is package/lock.json, just some of the basic fundamentals that I don't know. I didn't learn when I was just learning how to build some small applications. Anyway, lowdb wasn't working for me. I started making my own version of it. And now I think I know probably how to troubleshoot my issue with ES modules. Um, it's just kind of like what kind of syntax are you exporting your module in? However, uh, it's too late to go back now, and I'm already enjoying the project a little bit. So that's what I'm going to work on today is doing some more of what I call jankydb. So feast your eyes on this. Here's the GitHub. And I just added node modules to my git for git ignore, but I think I have to remove it. How do you remove like git ignore a file, a directory already in cache? And how about like add a file to git ignore? Ignoring files, GitHub docs. It's rm dash dash cached file name. All right, so let's see if that works. And I'm gonna rm dash dash cached. Oh, I deleted it. Actually, let me check git status. I think I just need to push this to GitHub. Okay. And in theory, I just would refresh this. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so I've got index.js, package.json, and git ignore. So this is the actual jankydb and it's got the ability to create a database. You can create new records in the database. You can destroy records in the database. And you can get all of the records in the database. That's what it does right now. So going back here, I actually forgot to write in gets all the records, gets all of the database, gets the entire db.json, gets all of it. That's what it does. Then it does common.js export. So that's not really readable. I'm going to try to boost that up for you there. Okay. Hopefully that's readable. But yeah, doing a common JS export as opposed to the ES6 or whatever the heck it's called. Um, it's exporting an object with all of these functions nested inside of it. It's kind of nice. I think ultimately I'm going to want to make make this a actual object with methods that I can instantiate. But I don't know, whenever I do tutorials, like people are not doing that. So is that too old school? Is that like old school? I don't know. Anyways, here's my testing file, and it's importing the janky database module with the common JS syntax require. And then I set up just some basic test data that I can insert into the database. So I've got tests to execute creating a database. I've got tests to execute inserting records into the database. This is the actual database file itself, so this is what it looks like. And basically the schema is very simple. It's a JSON file. It has an attribute that's called next auto ID. It starts off at 1, and this just increments up as records are created to auto increment. Outside of that, it's got the records, which is an array of objects. And these are sort of like default fields. You'll get the auto incrementing ID. You'll get the created at, updated at timestamps. And then you pass in an object to basically fill in the rest of whatever quote unquote columns you want to add to this thing. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple. Yeah. So let's see what we would need to do next. So the next thing that I wanted to do is work on, I've done creating, I've done inserting, and that was kind of necessary for me to be able to do reading. But these are like my create type things. Now I'm doing reading, and then we'll do editing and destroying, which does already exist. I just haven't run the tests for it yet. So let's see. Right now, when I run this and execute it, I'll bring up my console here, and let's do npm test. And here's what it does. It basically just right now will execute the select star capability, which will just give you the whole freaking enchilada right there. And actually, select star really shouldn't return next auto ID. That's not necessary. So let's make a change on that front. Index.js. It's going to affect, this is utilized by all of these other places. I'm going to actually move it up top. Right under create the database. Create a database will create the basic empty schema. Okay. But then we're going to do get the entire we should get gets all the records from the database. And so it should return an array of all the records in the database. I'll be verbose there. And this is, instead of let's be a little bit more explicit here and do like const db data db.json. Oh my gosh, db.json equals fs read file sync. We're going to get from the database that is named. We're going to read it in UTF-8 encoding. Then we will parse it into JSON. I should have just done that off the get-go. Paste this, scoop all of that in here. So next what I can do is I'll say, I don't actually need another line, it's just my return db json.records. Which is an array. So I believe that works. And if I test it, instead of giving me next auto ID information, let's just try npm test, and it executes and it returns an array of the records. Beautiful. That's exactly what we needed. However, probably broke some stuff in here, like anywhere read all is used. So that's two places, in destroy and in create. So let's think about this. When we create a record, we're going to read all of the data. Yeah, here's the issue. You need to be able to grab all of that. I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to rename read all to select star. And I'm just going to actually replace these so they're not dependent on one another. I know that it's repeating code. However, it's going to allow me to decouple these functions from being dependent upon one another. And I think that's worth it because I've been updating this function and then I'm having to go and edit the other ones. It's just one line. It's not worth having to deal with all that shenanigans. So, okay. In theory, that's all squared away. Let's go back to testing and let's activate the creation file, and I'm going to delete the database. Whatever. Okay. Now let's see what happens when I run my test. Ooh, read all is not defined. Index.js line 77. Oh, crap. I needed to rename it in the export statement. Okay. Run the test, and I don't think you can see it, but it created the new empty JSON record, it's next auto ID and an empty set of records. So now I'll go to my tests and I'm going to comment out the creation. I'm going to open up the create records, which this should be called like insert record, don't you think? Let's rename create record. And what if I do refactor? Convert to a named function. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to call it insert record. How did it know that? Oh, that's a frickin' variable inside of it. That's not good. Let's rename it. Okay, first, I had originally created a nested object inside of here called custom object, but I wanted it to more closely replicate a relational database, so I'm just using the spread operator on new custom object here instead, so that they're all kind of siblings of each other in the record. And the new record, we're going to push to records, and we want to stringify the data. I'm going to call this updated DB. Let's do that. And that way we've got distinct names. Insert record replaces create record. And then in my testing, I also need to update those. So now I've got create database, insert records, and let's execute npm. Npm test. Let's execute the test. Does it work? Oh yeah, new records created. Let's look at the whatever.json. We can format the document, make sure to save it, and look at that. It is actually looking really good. We've got 3 records created, ready to rock and roll. Okay. Now that those tests are done, I'm going to comment them out, and we'll move on to the next set of tests, which is the select star capability. And this is literally select star. And I'm not going to assign it to a variable. Let's just explicitly do it like that. And in theory, when we run the test, it's going to select everything out of that database. Boom, and it's just the records only. It's not telling me what the next auto increment is. Because, quite frankly, who cares? Okay, so that's looking good. If you want to select star, which is like a really common database thing, okay. What if I want to select and return only specific columns? Is that something I even want to do right now? I don't know. I really don't know. What should be more important? Being able to pair what columns are included? or what? Let's do the specific columns first of all. Since that is sort of in SQL syntax, that would be in the select statement. Let's try it. So I'm going to give it an optional argument. I mean, select star is pretty much that's what select star is. Let's do like select. Is that a reserved word? Select columns. Let's do this. Let's generalize this thing. Instead of select star, we'll keep select star. And then I'm going to do another version of it, and we're going to call it reads data from the database. Reads records from the database. And it's going to have a parameter with the thing, and then it's going to have an @param that will be a object, and we'll call it fields. Specified. Yeah, it's kind of a terrible name, but whatever. Optional. Optionally return only selected fields. I feel like this is dumb. Like, this is a waste of my time. I don't need to do this. There's no reason when you're just doing these stupid dev tool thing, like, I don't have a use case for doing that. Let's kill that. Actually. What we do need to do is be able to select columns. So like let's like select a record by ID, for example. Get record by ID, and then that's what we'll call it. We'll call it const get record by ID equals db name ID. We will do as usual, snatch up all of the db.json. We should just do a function for that. Const read db equals db name. This is what it is. Return that. read DB, DB name. And you can just replace this anywhere it's found. Okay. And let's write some documentation for it. We'll call it, what is it? It takes in a string, name of the database to read, returns an object, JSON object with all of the DB files contents. And we'll call this reads the database. We'll even give it a fancy capital R there. All right, so we've got that. Create a new database, reads the database, gets all of the records from the database, gets record by ID. And so this one is going to be, it's going to be like this. And we'll call it a string for the database name, the name of the database to select from, and the param ID is integer, that's number. And then we'll call this the ID of the record to get. And this will be gets a record by ID. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the video after this one. Let's just try to get this last thing in and we'll commit it and test it. We'll test it and commit it. Const get record by ID, database name and ID. We've got the database JSON. We've read the entire database. And so now I want, let's try doing destructuring syntax here. Records. Let's see if this works. We've got the records array now, and in fact, just to make sure that does work, let's do this also, records, and return records, and then I can really quickly run the test, make sure that syntax works. It works. Beautiful. Okay. Now get record by ID is we're gonna get all the records, and then I'm going to frickin' through the array. I need to be able to select an object. And I always forget what it is. So JavaScript filter an array of objects. And isn't it filter? Isn't it called filter? Yeah, it is. So words.filter word flippity-dippity-doop. So I believe that this would be how I would write the code. Would be records.filter. Filter is a array function, and then I need to pass in the argument ID, to the function, which is the test, and the answer is, oh, it's actually record. This iterates over the array objects, which are records. So for each record, if record.id is equals to the ID in the function args, then that's the one I want, and I want to just return that. I don't know. So let's try it. I'm going to print both of them, and I'm going to do this. Console.log testing the get by ID. This is just to create some space, and let's give it a line break as well. And then console.log, we're going to do the, what's it called? I need to export this function anyways. Get record by ID. jankydb.getRecordById. I'm going to pass it in the name of the database. And let's try to get record number 2, which should be the baby cow. So really what happens when I run this test, we should get out a print of all 3, and then it should tell us testing, selecting an individual, and we should get just the baby cow next, if it works. So npm test, let's see it. Hey, look at that. We still got an array. So that's interesting. Let's do this. Oh, not that. Let's do where is that? Insert a record, get record by ID, and then we'll just do this. That's kind of dumb, but let's go. All right, so instead of getting an array with an object, I want to get just the object itself. And it works. Beautiful. All right, let's get add and get commit m. This will be the get a record by ID commit. And let's push this guy up. To GitHub. And let's look at GitHub. And we'll refresh it. And that's the latest commit. And yeah, let's actually just click into it. And you can see what we've added right here. Let me try to zoom in on this stuff a little bit for you. You can see what we added. Took out create a record, insert a record, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. How about them apples? That's what we got. So that's it for today. I hope you had fun. We added a new function to the jankydb, and I don't know. Next one, maybe we'll add another function in there. We've still got to be able to do getting records by other specified column values. We've still got to do updating records, and we've still got to do deleting, which I think works right now. I just need to write testing for it. So really, at this point, I think just the ability to search the database for a match, like does it have this value for a certain key, is going to be the way that we need to find records and be able to return like a set of hits. And then deleting, already done. Then we would just need to update things. So updating probably by ID only? I don't know. We'll find out. I'll figure it out later. Anyways, hope you had fun. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Yeah, if anyone's watching this. All right, later.